Thanks everyone. Hi, I'm Mark. I've also, as is Jim, been part of the Zeitgeist movement for quite a few years, 4, maybe 5. I'm going to talk to you today about resource management and how, with a natural law resource-based economy, or RBE as it's often shortened to, is the way forward, and what we can, I'm going to try and be talking to you about what we can be doing to push that into place. One of the things defining an RBE, as Jim was saying, is the application of scientific model for social concern. Another way of looking at that is a holistic socio-economic system in which all goods and services are available without the use of money, barter, credit, or any other system of debt or servitude. So we're moving towards a new evolved system of how we interact with each other in a more evolved way of dealing with each other. Sorry, better way of putting that. What I'm going to be doing for you is playing you a couple of videos. Some of you might be familiar with the people on screen. Jeremy Rifkin? Yep. Can I have a show of hands who hasn't heard of Jeremy Rifkin? About a quarter of you. Okay. So that's going to be an experience. I mean, some of you have already seen it. He's going to talk about the third industrial revolution, whereby we're looking at the collaborative commons of sharing the world's resources. So that's hopefully going to be experienced. As far as I'm concerned, for what we know, we are the greatest evolutionary success story that's ever occurred. Together, we're amazing, and what we can achieve, amazing. Yeah, I'm a little nervous. This is my first time up on stage with. Thank you. Okay, where are we? One more thing. One of the things I like to tell people, as part of my activism experience over the last 5 years with the Zeitgeist movement, with street activism, is I let people know on the street how the transition can take place. One of the things I like to share with them is that as a species, we've never before been so capable of caring for ourselves, of feeding, housing, educating, medically caring for ourselves, clothing ourselves, the whole shebang. Basically, we've got technology that we should be using today for the benefit of mankind, and it's time to put that into practice in a more sustainable way than we're currently using it. So, what we're going to talk about now, after Jeremy Rifkin, is a value change. So we're looking at the methods that we approaching social management, and hopefully allowing ourselves to migrate to that direction. I'll be talking from the local perspective, for example, how we can farm locally and get those farms to produce all of the requirements for local need. Anyway, let me play the video.
We are just beginning to glimpse the bare outlines of an emerging new economic system, the collaborative commons. This is the first new economic paradigm to emerge on the world scene since the advent of capitalism and socialism in the early 19th century. So it's a remarkable historical event. It has long-term implications for society. But what's really interesting is the trigger that's giving birth to this new economic system. The trigger is something called zero marginal cost. Now, marginal costs are the cost of producing an additional unit of a good and service after your fixed costs are covered. Business people are all aware of marginal costs. Most of the public isn't. But this idea of zero marginal cost is going to dramatically, intimately affect every single person in the world in the coming years, in every aspect of their life. There's a paradox deeply embedded in the very heart of the capitalist market system, previously really undisclosed. This paradox has been responsible for the tremendous success of capitalism over the last 2 centuries. But here's the irony. The very success of this paradox is now leading to an end game and a new paradigm emerging out of capitalism, this collaborative commons. Let me explain. In a traditional market, sellers are always constantly probing for new technologies that can increase their productivity, reduce their marginal costs so they can put out cheaper products and win over consumers and market share, beat out their competitors, and bring some profit back to investors. So business people are always looking for ways to increase productivity and reduce their marginal cost. They simply never expected in their wildest dreams that there would be a technology revolution so powerful in its productivity that it might reduce those marginal costs to near zero, making goods and services essentially free, priceless, and beyond the market exchange economy. That's now beginning to happen in the real world. The first inklings of this zero marginal cost phenomena was with the inception of the World Wide Web from 1990 until 2014. We saw this zero marginal cost phenomena invade the newspaper industry, the magazine industry, and book publishing. With the coming of the World Wide Web and the internet, all of a sudden millions of people, then hundreds of millions of people, and now 40% of the human race with very cheap cell phones and computers, they're sending audio, video, and text to each other at near zero marginal cost. So what's happened is millions of consumers became prosumers with the advent of the internet, and so they're producing and sharing their own videos, their own news blogs, their own entertainment, their own knowledge with each other in these lateral networks at near zero marginal cost and essentially for free, bypassing the capitalist market in many instances altogether. This zero marginal cost phenomena, as it invaded the information industries, wreaked havoc on big, big industries. Newspapers went out of business. They couldn't compete with near zero marginal cost. Magazines went out of business. And my own industry, publishing, has been just racked by free ebooks and free knowledge and information. But you know, the strange thing about it is, at first, a lot of industry watchers said this is a good thing. Because if we give out more and more information goods free, and people are producing and sharing it free, these freemiums will stimulate people's appetite to want premiums, and then upgrade this free goods and information by getting more customized information. I'll give you an example. Musicians give away their music free when they started to see this happen, hoping that they would get a big, loyal fan repertoire, and then their fans would be enticed to go to their concerts and pay premium in order to, be there in person. And then, of course, we saw this with newspapers. The New York Times will give you 10 free articles a month, freemiums, hoping that you'll then upgrade to premiums and buy their subscription service. It didn't happen on any large scale. This was very naive by industry watchers. Sure, some people have moved from freemiums to premiums, but when more and more information goods are out there nearly free, shared with each other, music, film, arts, information, and knowledge, attention span is not there to then want to go to the premiums when you have so much available already in the freemiums. So economists have come back recently. They said, all right, we understand that information goods are moving toward near zero marginal cost, devastating the newspaper industry, magazines, book publishing, etc. But there's a firewall here. That this near zero marginal cost phenomena on the internet, it won't pass the firewall into the physical world of physical goods and services, the brick and mortar world, the world of energy and physical products. That's no longer the case. There's a new technology revolution coming online that's making it possible for millions and soon hundreds of millions and eventually billions of people to not only produce and share their own information goods, but now energy and physical goods. And it's called the Internet of Things. This is the expansion of the Internet. And it's all happening in the last 12 months. Now, this is a pretty new phenomenon. What's going on here is the traditional Internet that we're also familiar with is now converging with a very fledgling energy Internet and a nascent logistics and transport Internet. And as these three Internets come together, they're creating a single operating platform, a nervous system, a sort of intelligent brain. And they're taking this brain and they're attaching sensors now across the entire value chain of the economy to feed into this three Internets: energy, communication, and logistics. So right now, we have 13 billion sensors out there connecting appliances and things with human beings. We have sensors connecting resource flows in nature. We have sensors at warehouse and distribution centers. We have sensors on smart roads monitoring traffic. We have sensors on the factory floor constantly keeping up-to-date information on the flow of production in the factories. We have sensors in the front and back office, sensors in retail stores. We have sensors all across the system feeding big data back. What's interesting is 13 billion sensors now. IBM says in 2020 we'll have 30 billion sensors connecting everything with every being. And by 2030, the most recent forecast, we'll have 100 trillion sensors connecting all of us in one vast lateral neural network made up of 3 operating engines: a communication internet converging with an energy and a logistics internet. And let me say one more thing about these 3 engines. When you look back at every society, their economic platforms always contain 3 elements: a form of communication, a form of energy to power society, and a form of mobility to move economic activity. For example, in the 19th century, first industrial revolution, the communication was steam power printing, and later the telegraph to move economic activity. The form of energy was coal and steam power. The form of mobility was the locomotive and the railroads. And that platform allowed us to build out a first industrial revolution. In the 20th century, we had these 3 as well, these components: communication, energy, and mobility. The communication was centralized electricity, and especially the telephone, later radio and television. The form of energy was oil, and the mobility was the internal combustion engine. And that platform then allowed us to have a great advance of economic opportunity in the 20th century, a second industrial revolution. This expansive internet, this Internet of Things, brings us to a third industrial revolution. And the form of communications, the internet. The form of power is renewable energy, distributed renewable energy. And the form of mobility is driverless, automated vehicles, logistics, and automated drones. So what we're seeing is just the first inklings of this new platform, these 3 internets in one. And what this allows us to do is any consumer can become a prosumer, just like we did with information goods on the old internet, access this new Internet of Things, and have available to us a complete stream of data from every part of the economy. That means you and I, small cooperatives, small businesses, large companies, if it keeps its network neutrality, we all have equal access, like we did with the internet. So we can go up on this Internet of Things now, and we can take that big data flowing through the system from the devices all the way to these 3 internets, and any of us with our own apps and our own mobile technology will be able to use the big data and combine it with analytics to create our own algorithms, just like the big guys at Google. And it won't be rocket science because those apps will be programmed for us. So we can create our own apps with our mobile technology, using that big data to dramatically increase our productivity, reduce our marginal cost in the production of physical things like energy and 3D printed products. That's already begun.
A couple of things he doesn't mention there, and if you've not heard of anything that Jeremy Rifkin's done before, he's talking about the collaborative efforts that we can all use to move forward, such as with logistics. He might be talking about in the future when we are moving goods, you might send a truck up the country with laden with goods to its destination, but when it comes back empty, what's the point? Yeah? Or how about Jeremy Rifkin himself? He's one of the world's leading propagandists, whatever the word is, promoters of renewable energies. Solar power, for example. He's working with Jeremy? Blimey. He's working with Germany right now to put in place. Yeah. He's working with Germany right now to put into place by 2020 a 20 to 30% renewable energies architecture, whereby up to 1 million buildings are going to have photovoltaic cells in solar power generation architectures, infrastructure-wide across Germany, as a distributed power management system. So what we're doing, we are growing towards a third industrial revolution, as he was saying, which is collaborative commons and sharing the resources of this planet. So when we get the Internet of Things that he's talking about, It's just already there, and we're just moving into it now. What I'm going to talk about, one of the things I'm going to be promoting from a local level, is the farming side of things, which is from the next video. Marcin Jakubowski, he's Hungarian. He is living in America now. He started a farm, and he's printed a set of open source tools for farming utilities, which is basically called a global village construction set. The principle is that he can print one DVD and take that DVD, because it's got the best instructions on how to make, maintain, and fix, when they're broken, anything that's actually part of manufacturing on your land. So, awesome tool set, and I'm thinking, let's do that. So before I go any further with that, I'll play you the video, but a couple of things I want to illustrate is our ability for us to develop locally allows us to grow and develop in the direction that is locally suitable, region by region. So what you need locally, you can print or you can grow. We've got those capabilities. And the technology which is already propagated is happy. I should just play the video, shouldn't I? All right, let's get that going.
My name is Marcin. I'm a farmer, technologist, born in Poland, now in the US. I started a group called Open Source Ecology, and we took on a very big, hairy, audacious goal. We've identified the 50 most important machines that allow for modern life to exist, the things we rely on every day, whether we know it or not. Everything from a tractor, to an oven, to a circuit maker. Then we create an open source, DIY version that anyone can build and maintain at a fraction of the cost. We call this the Global Village Construction Set. Are we reinventing the wheel here? Well, yes. So let me tell you a story. I finished my 20s with a PhD in fusion energy, and I discovered that I was useless. I had no practical skills. The world presented me with options, and I took them. I guess you can call it the consumer lifestyle. So I started a farm in Missouri and learned about the economics of farming. I bought a tractor, then it broke. I paid to get it repaired. Then it broke again. And pretty soon, I was broke too. I realized that the truly effective, low-cost tools that I needed to build a sustainable life and settlement just didn't exist yet. I needed tools that were robust, modular, highly efficient and optimized, low cost, made from local and recycled materials, designed for a lifetime, not obsolescence. I found that I would have to build them myself. So I did just that, and I tested them, and I found that industrial productivity can be achieved on a small scale. So then I published the 3D designs, schematics, instructional videos, and budgets on a wiki. Then contributors from all over the world began showing up, prototyping new machines during dedicated project visits. So far, we've prototyped 8 of the 50 machines, and the project is beginning to grow on its own. We know that open source has succeeded with software and tools for managing knowledge and creativity, and the same is beginning to happen with hardware too. We're focusing on hardware because it's hardware that can change people's lives in such tangible material ways. If we can lower the barriers to farming, building, manufacturing, then we can unleash massive amounts of human potential. And not only in the developing world. We've seen lots of excitement from American farmers, builders, makers, who can harness our published library to start a construction business, parts manufacturing, an organic CSA, or just to sell power back to the grid. Our goal is a published library of instructional materials so complete, so clear, that a single burned DVD is effectively a civilization starter kit. I've planted 100 trees in a day. I've pressed 5,000 bricks in one day from the dirt beneath my feet. And I built a tractor in 6 days. And from what I've seen, this is only the beginning. If this idea is truly sound, then the implications are significant. a greater distribution of the means of production, environmentally sound supply chains, and a newly relevant DIY maker culture can hope to transcend artificial scarcity. We're asking the question, what are the limits of open source hardware in terms of what we all can do to make a better world? Thank you.
That was 2011. Now, that's obviously a few years ago, so they've progressed. They've printed well over 20 of their wiki pages that they're talking about up there, and the contributions that globally have been made to those websites. So, for example, the compressed earth brick press, what he was talking about, pressing 5,000 bricks in a day from the soil beneath your feet. That's been improved many times from global collaboration and when you put something in, contribution, well, the point is that those wiki pages are open source and everyone can add to them. So we've got a global communication, a global contribution network, and everyone's added to it. That's the way it should be working. I'm going to play you a video in a minute that is taking you through some of the web links that the wiki has developed. It's just to play in the background while I'm talking to you about it, so there's no sound to it. His compressed earth brick press, has been replicated 67 times worldwide. Can you imagine that released into developing countries where they need resources, and you can print those resources from the soil beneath your feet? Yeah, homes free. It's pretty cool. And what I'm doing up here today, one of the main goals I'm doing trying to achieve today, is getting you to think about the potential for having an educational centre that we are putting together here to demonstrate some of the technological capabilities that we've got with the epitome of technological excellence that is at our disposal, to propagate that education centre worldwide under the same open source architecture, a wiki where you can publish how the best 3D printing works, how the best open source ecology, the farming, the energy, etc., etc. All of it is coming under one roof. How's that sound? Excellent. Okay, I'm going to play you that video, which again, it's just a scan through the more recent versions of the wiki that Marcin Jakubowski's developed. We can do our own. We can document this very well to produce safe, productive machines at very low cost, typically at 10% cost of what we've been using so far, been subject to so far, I should say. Okay, that is a model of an economic safety net project that's been running on Facebook for a couple of years now. One of our fellows, Dave Lucas, has actually put this together. It's done very well. This is continually being developed. We've got the 3D printing workshop. Can you imagine what it's like as an education centre to be able to collaboratively walk in and say, I want to print a prosthetic limb or another 3D printer machine? Yeah, I'll take that 3D printer machine away with me and make another one for my friend. With me? Okay. This is a self-sustaining bioarchitecture. For example, solar power generation. We are now getting to the stage where we can print solar-powered circuits, photovoltaic prints. It's called silver dioxide, something or other. Xerox are developing it right now. So you get yourself a 3D printer. It actually melts these metals at a lower temperature than the plastic melts. So you just integrate the right 3D printer device and it will work. Anyway, I'm digressing. I want to move on because this video is showing you that wiki, and I don't have much more time to talk on this. So whilst that is running in the background, you'll notice there's half a dozen tabs at the top. I'm just going to let that run. It's just me browsing through web pages. Anyway, one of the ways I would like this to move forward is developing a centre, as I've said, and can't believe I'm saying this on stage, but this is the way this is going. I am going to put up my house to make this happen. Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, it's not like I've got 6 or 7 of them. This is my only house. Where I'm going with this. collaborative input. There are lots of methods we can use to kick this process off. For example, we could use Kickstarter. I want out of this wage slavery environment. I don't want to be the button pusher for a banker or an insurance company or a lawyer and all the nonsense systems that we're propagating perpetually in this system. I would like to make a step towards a better future. Yeah? That's my direction. Okay, directions. We could also do things like Kickstarter. I'm sure you've all heard of it. How about we put a case forward for an education centre so that people all over the world can come to this centre and learn how to 3D print or print something themselves. You pay £10 and you get the right to print 50 compressed earth bricks. So you find out how you can build your own compressed earth brick press or print 50 bricks that went towards building a house. £100 gets you the right to print a prosthetic limb. $250 gets you the right to take a 3D printer home with you at the end of the day. I think you get the idea. It's just a funding exercise. We've got to use the system to get out of the system, haven't we? Okay. We've got so many groups screaming to make the world work in more sustainable ways, responsible with no more of this polluting, corrupted inequality and ill mentalities so prevalent today and carried over from an archaic age which is truly obsolete. How about a change? Instead of competing, set an example by standing unified as one people, one world.